I'm here with Nick Orchard. Just introduce yourself, my friend, tell them who you are, and yeah, go from there.
For sure. So Nick Orchard, I'm in Melbourne, Australia. I'm actually in a place called Belgrave, which is kind of in the bush on the outskirts of Melbourne. Beautiful spot. And I have had kind of a varied career and an obscure career path, but I work with middle leaders in nonprofits in Australia to help them build a leadership system, which is really awesome, but also to prevent them burning out because there's a really incredibly high rate of burnout in the Australian nonprofit sector, particularly in the community sector where people are really out there, really passionate about their work, trying to make a difference, but that can in turn lead to burnout.
In your experience, what are the biggest contributing factors to burnout?
I think one of the really big contributing factors in this sector specifically is that no one gets into the nonprofit sector because they think it's like fucking awesome money, right? Like they're there because they care and they want to make a difference in the community, which is like such a gift, like a really beautiful thing. But if you come in and you're an awesome practitioner, like let's say you're working in the homelessness sector and you're amazing, you're awesome at advocating for your clients, you're great at getting the wins, you get them awesome places to stay, and you're dedicated and passionate. Eventually, what's going to happen is someone's going to go, yo, you're really awesome at your job. Why don't you be a team leader? And the process generally is like this. It's like, yo, do you want to be a team leader? They go, is it more money? They go, yes. And they go, awesome, done, you're in. Like, almost no fucking process. Like maybe it's like an EOI or like a tap on the shoulder vibe, but they're in and then they're a team leader. But the thing that happens is that no one really, first of all, no one tells them how to manage people, but also it's like no one really tells them that the currency has changed. Like, because their currency isn't a paycheck. Their currency is like getting awesome outcomes for clients and being in there in the mix and, being really good at being a practitioner. And they don't really evolve that concept of craft to now being, it's actually about how I lead my people and get the best out of my people. So it's like
Mm.
this yawning gap between practitioner and team leader. And I would argue, man, if you're hiring an executive, like often the people who apply for an executive role are already senior managers or they're already executives wanting to move laterally, right? And if we're hiring an executive, we'll do fucking 8 interviews. We'll get a headhunter on the job. We'll get them doing all these activities and tasks and agonize. We've got board members weighing in. Like, it's like this big decision, right? But I reckon that jump is tiny. Like, it's like a step from senior manager to executive. Whereas going
Mm.
from being a practitioner, like a frontline community worker, to being a team leader, that is a fucking leap. And so the main thing that happens is these people who end up in the team leader position go, well, I'm just going to revert back to what I've always done, which is I'm just going to do all the work and absorb all the work and tell all my staff they're doing an awesome job all the time because I want to be their friend and I want them to like me. And I'm just going to start working longer and longer hours because that's my only variable to pump in. And eventually, sooner or later, that bill's going to come due and many of them burn out and actually miss this opportunity to parlay their great expertise into an awesome leadership gig.
That makes a lot of sense. When it comes to the warning signs as well, that these people notice when they're getting to the edge, because we've all got the thing where, oh, we might notice, we've slept enough, but we still feel a bit tired, or, we're a little bit more irritable when we get home. In your work with these types of people, what are the key things that you notice that's like a warning sign that they're getting close to a position where, okay, you need to actually do something about this before you crash and burn?
That's such a good question. And I love that I'm here with the sleep scientist, by the way, because it's like so perfect, because obviously sleep is a factor and
Yeah.
people's impacted sleep. But I think if we're talking about like as an external observer, so for example, like let's say I'm a senior manager and I'm managing a team leader, like the thing I'm looking for is that they're like on, do you use Teams in the UK? Is that like what you use for?
We use Teams and we use Zoom.
Yeah. So whatever that kind of platform is where people are communicating and pinging each other, like often the team leaders who are at risk are going to be the ones who are still online. We call it like on green on Teams. They're still on green at like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. And you might ping them with a little message and be like, yo, why don't you log off? And they're like, no, I'm all good. Like I'm killing it. But it's like, that's the first sign. The second sign, and this is like a weird one, but is when people start referring to their workplace as this place, it's like a really strange, just like tick that everyone has when they're starting to build that kind of resentment or that bitterness about the space that they're in. But really, bottlenecks start to emerge. So, like, work just doesn't kind of flow through this person particularly well because they're trying to do it all themselves a lot of the time. We'll see that their staff members might be starting to get a bit frustrated because they're just wanting to be empowered to, like, go get after it. But instead, there's someone there who's really wearing the burden. But as well, those signs of just exhaustion start to creep in, bags under the eyes, red eyes, mainlining fucking espresso.
It's like, some people just get conditioned to it though when it comes to coffee, right? It's like, oh yeah, I have 3 coffees every single day, or I have 300 milligrams of caffeine every single day. Oh, how long for? Oh yeah, the past 3 years. It's all right though. Like, okay. I don't feel like people realize that they can have natural energy when they've been in a position
Yes.
where they've been like compensating for so long, because it is compensation, right? Especially when you start to notice those signs, like, bags in your eyes, no matter how much you sleep, you're still tired, or you are more irritable. So when it comes to the main reason, then it's essentially people doing too much for too long and trying to do it all themselves, would you say?
Yeah, and it's really interesting because I think that's like the external signs of what's going on, and that's the kind of action side. But I think it starts to get really interesting when you think about what's happening on the inside as well. So there's this big debate that's going on at the moment in Australia and probably in the UK as well, around burnout, because it's a real problem. It's on the increase. Like, for example, in 2024, 21% of people who resigned from nonprofits did so because of burnout. In 2025, 29% of people who resigned from nonprofits did so because of burnout. So it's like a sector like quite legitimately at risk. And so this debate is raging, whereas it used to be that it was considered like, if you burn out, like, that's an individual well-being problem. Like, that's your problem to deal with. And now it's evolved all the way the other way, and where everyone's like, no, it's a system problem. Like, it's the organization's problem. And man, I would actually absolutely debate it is both. Like, it's both, because people turn up to these roles, they turn into these spaces, and especially, again, like in the community sector where people often get in because they might have had some experiences in their kind of childhood or growing up that really lead them into that space and to feel passionate about it. Like, you have a whole lifetime's worth of beliefs that you've accrued about yourself. And these are beliefs that might have once been there to keep us safe or to help us thrive. It's like, I just fucking push through no matter what, because that's what I did to be able to get through school, even though I had all this stuff going on at home. And that is a belief that has stayed ingrained, even though it's kind of turned toxic. Or like, I believe that if I speak up about being tired or a bit overwhelmed or scared, people are going to think I'm a fucking fraud or I'm weak or they're going to take me down. And these beliefs accrue over a lifetime. Someone gets in an organization, that organization hasn't caused those beliefs, but they are now responsible for creating a space where someone can resolve that stuff and start to work through it. And this is what I think we haven't gotten right yet, because it tends to be one of two things. The organization will just like do like an all-staff well-being day. Like, let's get the fucking yoga mats out and like do some Tai Chi and everyone will have a great day. And then it's all good. We don't have to worry that our like culture survey is, our culture survey is like shocking. Or it's the other way around where it's like, let's go get like fucking Deloitte or KPMG or someone to come in here and give us like a 70-page slide deck about how to change our org structure. And it's like, they're both wrong. Like, at the end of the day, it's about the individual in front of you and equipping them to be able to thrive in their roles.
100%. I love that. And we're going to really delve into how you do that as well. And we spoke before starting this recording about your broccoli time. So we're definitely going to get into that and other strategies. Before we do, I feel like you're certainly right about the beliefs as well. And I feel like the way that those beliefs can come up for people are in many different ways. The common way I see with business owners and founders is it's just they always see themselves as someone that had to work really, really hard, and maybe they always just strive for more and strive for being the best. And it's like, I need to do this. I work harder than anyone else. And then they're either stuck in that same pattern where it's always just more. And then the signs of feeling not great. They don't even pay attention to it. Like, oh, just more caffeine, I'll get through. It's fine. I'm supposed to feel like this. That's one. Another way I see it is they've kind of pushed through. They've got to a really good position with their business, and then it's a case of, okay, they've got a lot of people to lead. They've got high responsibility. They're seen as the leader, and then they're waking up feeling groggy, and then like, why am I feeling like this? Like, this isn't normal. Why am I
Yes.
low energy? And then it's just like the link isn't quite there between, okay, what you're doing on a day-to-day is leading you to feel like this. So it's actually, how do you put the steps in place to reverse that and then start feeling good again, and not waking groggy and not waking tired, or not feeling like you're kind of redlining a car, essentially, is the way I'd describe it. So I feel like the beliefs that people have, like you said, are the key drivers behind that. And unless you put the link between, like, look, this is why you're feeling this way, and this is what we can do to improve, people are just going to continue to believe what they believe, because it's quite hard to break beliefs when you've had them your whole life. It's about finding them, breaking them, and saying, okay, this is actually what you can do instead.
Yes. And that's so well put. And I love that metaphor of redlining. And I'm sure that you must see it all the time in the work that you're doing as well. And I reckon like people have this remarkable capacity. It's almost like going out and partying in early 20s or something and showing up for work the next day. Like people have this capacity to just push through for like legitimately years and years, fueled off like caffeine fumes, self-doubt, fear of failure. Like it just kind of smash through. But do you watch mixed martial arts at all, or boxing?
No, I like boxing, but I don't watch it much.
Sure. So there's this term anyway that they use in boxing or mixed martial arts for when a fighter has been knocked out a few times and then suddenly they just get knocked out like really easily in fights, and they call it being chinny. So that's the term they use. And it means their chin is gone. So, and it just means they get knocked out really easily. But what it really is that their brain has taken so much damage over time and it's learned, oh, holy shit, when I get in this environment and I absorb this force, I'm going to get really damaged. So I'm just going to turn myself off. And so they don't have that same capacity because their brain is like, I'm going to shut off now. And I reckon it's the same thing with leaders who are in this kind of spot, or business owners like you're working with, who have just been pushing through for years and years and years and redlining, and have come to believe it's like, I can do this. Like I can do this forever. I can keep going. Like others might not have the capacity, but I do. And it becomes almost like a pride thing. It's like someone at a party says, what have you been up to? And that's like, oh, it's busy. Like I'm so fucking busy. Like I'm busy. But eventually the time comes when they get a drop, and then I reckon their capacity is never the same again. Like you reckon I'll rest, I'll like go lie on a beach for a month and then I'll come back and I'll be sweet. But that kind of pattern, that kind of zigzag or the kind of graph just starts dropping off quicker and quicker. And if you don't actually address the root cause and set yourself up differently for success, that can get really damaging.
That's really interesting. And I think that's the slight difference between the work that we do now. I feel like the people I work with are the people in that cycle right now that are just pushing through and are just like, because your body's resilient. Like you can just push through being at 60%. You just can, because your body will allow you to do so if you will it so. Doesn't mean you're maximizing your output, but it means that you can get through. So I'm working with those sorts of people before they've actually reached the point of their battery going to full zero. It's almost like, I think I don't know if it's actually true, but people say if you actually allow your iPhone to die when you start it back up, the battery, a little bit of the battery is actually gone now, and then your capacity is worse for the rest of the duration of the phone. Don't know whether that's true, but it's a good analogy for this. So I feel like my people I work with are sort of like 40 to 60% just pushing through, but losing output, losing hours in a day because of it. Because being busy doesn't mean you're productive. I feel like the people you work with are the people that have already gone through that, got to 0%, and now it's like a case of, okay, how do we actually recharge that battery and try and keep it sustained, which I feel like is even more difficult once you've actually gone through that full process.
It's so tricky. It's really tricky to rebuild. And actually, like a bunch of the people I work with haven't hit that point yet, but they're aware that the practices that they're engaging in will land them there. And it tends to be this like really toxic mix of fear of failure and imposter syndrome. Like this imposter syndrome that plays out for people where it's like, like no one ever taught me how to be a manager. Like at best, I've gone and done like a half-day course, which is totally not applicable to my job. It's just like some cookie cutter shit. And I'm like, if I fall off, like, or if someone notices where I'm at, or someone notices that maybe I don't have all the answers, that means that I'm a fucking fraud and they're all going to fraud check me and no one will believe me again and it's all going to come crashing down. And so I just need to pretend I can do it and I can push through at all times. And that gets like real vicious after a period of time. And that's when heaps of the stuff that you work with, Chester, like, we see those kind of sleep patterns really starting to play out in worrying ways, starting to wake up worrying, starting to wake up working in your head already at, 1 a.m. or whatever it might be.
The racing mind comes for everyone. Out of the people I've spoken to or worked with even, I would say the racing mind comes for 4 out of 5 people. Like that is the issue for 4 out of 5 people, I'd say. And obviously it can present in different ways. It's either, you're lying there at 11 p.m., you've been there for half an hour, then you start staring at the ceiling, then you go on your phone because your mind just simply switch off. You might write down some notes in your phone because you just need to get it out, otherwise it's going to keep looping. People that are up at 3 a.m. just completely stressed and then wired, and they're like, oh, and then like as soon as you're up, it's like that starts coming back on. And again, I feel like it's quite common for people that have that pressure to always be on form and always appear a certain way as well. I think that the identity aspect of I want to be seen as the person that knows everything, is always performing at their best, can really play on people's minds. And then it's always the case of, okay, like, what do I need to do tomorrow? How do I make sure that I'm performing at my best? And then it's just like this never ending cycle of a brain that just won't switch off and stress levels that are like sky high. People don't understand like how detrimental high levels of stress are over a long period of time.
Sure.
Because your body's resilient, like you can deal with stress in the short term, but if you are always super stressed, you will just have a day where you feel like, whoa, like I'm at my laptop. Why have I been here for an hour but only got 15 minutes of work done? That's your body just fighting against you.
100%. And man, like I'm a living and breathing example of that. So I had like the most obscure career pathway ever. So like I used to be a rapper for a living when I was in my early 20s, and I used to teach hip hop in like remote communities around Australia. And kind of found my way into working in the community, and but through that work. So it was through mentoring young men in prisons originally. And then somehow, a decade later, I found myself in government in an executive role, like prowling around Parliament House with like fucking tattooed hands. Like it's like not the usual look of like the graduate bureaucrat who's come through the system. And so I was just plagued by imposter syndrome, man. Like I would wake up every night in cold sweats, like terrified, like constantly having nightmares that any second, like everyone would find me out. Like I had no idea like how I'd even gotten there. I'd be in the room with all these unbelievably smart people who'd done their masters and their doctorates and they've spent their whole career in this space. Sometimes like I'd barely even understand what they were saying. And I really formed this belief and I ran it and it worked for a few years, which was like, I'm definitely not going to be the smartest person in any room, but I can fucking work harder than anyone. Like I can outwork anyone in any room, anywhere. And that worked really well until it didn't. And so for me, I was in a director role in the Department of Education in Victoria, and we came into the COVID period here, and like part of my portfolio was like school attendance and well-being of students. And so suddenly like every student in my state, Victoria, got sent home from school. It's like, holy fuck, like how are we going to make sure everyone's okay now? It's like still our responsibility. They're like at school, they're just online. And so I just, was working around the clock. My team were working around the clock, and I was pulling 7 days a week while working from home, trying to figure it out. My daughter was, 5 years old, trying to work things out with her. Yeah. And the stress just kept accruing, and it came to this place. And, it's funny that we're talking about this because of your role, but I made this like active decision at one point because I just felt like I was drowning, like I wasn't getting on top of stuff. I was like, I'm just going to stop sleeping for a few days because I'm like, so much adrenaline anyway. Like, I'm getting through it. I'm just going to stop. and just catch up and get back on top of things. And so on about, and that kind of worked for a couple of days. And then on about the third day, I started finding all these emails in my sent email box. And they were perfectly fine emails, except I had no recollection of sending them. And I was like, I fully had this creepy sense that someone else had been writing them, and somehow someone was like in my emails. And I was like, oh, that's like super freaky. And then I was chairing a meeting of like other execs from across government, just like this, like just like sitting there, like talking, and I blinked. And when my eyes opened, I was in my car driving at 130 kilometers an hour between here and the next town over on the wrong side of the road. No fucking idea how I'd gotten there. Like literally just like blinked. It was like I'd been fucking teleported into this car. And it was the middle of the bush. So I couldn't just like pull over anywhere, but like found a spot to be able to pull over. Was like freaking out. Like my hands were shaking. And when I looked at my phone, I'd lost 2 hours. And to this day, I can't remember that 2 hours, but apparently I finished that meeting just fine. Like I sent out minutes and shit afterwards. But that was like my body, that was like the chinny thing. That was like my body going, fuck no, we're out. Like this is it. And that was the start of a really long recovery journey, but which has led to here.
I have seen this story before, but that is insane. Was this on the fourth day of, like, did you get no sleep at all for 4 days?
No. I just
Wow.
worked. But it all, I only know it was 4 days. Like, I only learned it was 4 days after the fact. Like, if you had asked me at the time, I probably would have thought it was a couple of days. Like, I just was so in it and just obviously not thinking rationally or logically. Like, I was just attached to my computer, man. I was just working around the clock and really like feeling like, you know, it was like a video game. Like any second now I'm going to like beat it and then it'll all be okay. And then I'll just like go to bed.
It's insane, man. And it's interesting because I know that if I got 6 hours sleep, 5 hours sleep one night, I would just feel awful. So the fact that it just shows how on edge and how wired and how high your stress hormones were, because the stress hormones are what keep you alert, right? Your sympathetic drive, so your fight or flight. So you must have just been in that state for the full 4 days. And that's probably why you feel like someone else was controlling you, because it's almost like you had a different system just like taking over on autopilot and just getting everything done for you, which is insane to think about, and quite scary, really. And it does also show how your ability to actually process through things clearly and actually think is really impaired. Now, I saw a study that showed even one night of sleep deprivation, you ask people how they think they're performing, they say, oh yeah, I'm really good. But then you actually look at their reaction speed, you look at their cognitive processing, you just look at how they're performing in general, and it's like way lower than where they actually think they are. Because obviously your ability for your brain to be working clearly is impaired. Because a big part of sleep is actually when you fall asleep, when you get into deep sleep, your brain essentially washes out toxins, right? Like a washing machine. So that process just basically wasn't occurring, and you're just getting these toxins build up, and obviously that's not good for anyone. But yeah, that's such an interesting story, and obviously, although it's very, very negative, the good thing to take away from that is the fact that you are helping people in the area that you're helping people with now, and you've got such a strong experience of knowing what it's like to deal with that. Can you talk about how you recovered, the first steps, the middle steps, and where you're at now?
Yeah, of course, man. And actually, just while I remember the, like, I love your posts about Alex Hormozy, you know, needing to be stopped and whatever. I'll tell you who needs to be stopped. It's The Rock promoting that he only sleeps 4 hours a night. Because I swear to God, when I was in the thick of it, I would always like look at The Rock's content and be like, hey, The Rock only needs to sleep 4 hours a night. Surely I don't need much.
Definitely not.
Or just like on all the drugs, just all the steroids. But yeah.
I feel like it's a peacock flocking his feathers. That's not, it's some positions like, oh, look at me, I can do all these things, I can go to the gym, I'm a big guy, I'm also very rich and famous, and I only sleep 4 hours, so because I'm able to do all these things in 4 hours, I'm just so good. And
totally.
it's almost like a subliminal, like, ego ego show as well. Because if you think of The Rock, you think, oh, like, yeah, what a good guy, very selfless. He's I'm sure he's an amazing person. And then you see these things where he's just like chatting pure shit. It's like, why you don't like, why do you need to do that? And it's again, I think it's just down to people's egos and what they want to be perceived as. Oh, the hardest worker. I can still perform great on 4 hours. You can't. You don't feel good on six. I can do all this on four. Like, what are you doing? It's just such a bad message to promote, and it makes no sense. It doesn't help anyone.
No. And P.S. He's just getting 8 hours every night for sure. But to answer your question from before, yeah, recovery was really interesting, man. So like for my first like few weeks, so I called my boss straight afterwards. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but like I got to take some time. And I was clearly very shaken, and he was totally lovely, like a beautiful man. And he was like, of course, like whatever you need. But I just sat, like I've got this like blue armchair out there, and I literally sat in the armchair for like 3 weeks. Like I just sat there 24 hours a day. I would sleep a bit. I would get up. Like my daughter would come and like talk to me there. I fully was just done, deleted, and just I couldn't like bring myself to really like go to bed. Either was strange. I was just like stuck in this armchair.
Mm.
And like went and saw a GP and a psychologist and all of those kind of things. And, you mentioned before the fight or flight thing, the psychologist I saw put it in really useful terms, because this is when I was like trying to kind of go back to work. And every time I would try, like my heart would start racing. I'd start sweating, like, and this gross smelling sweat, this like chemical sweat that I've since learned is like cortisol kind of infused sweat, which is such a potent stress sign.
Mm.
But he explained it to me in terms of like the amygdala, like the ancient kind of part of our brains, get so activated during these periods of acute burnout and as you were talking about, like acute stress over time, that then it's just like the smallest thing can activate that fight or flight mode. Like, and so you actually have to be incredibly cautious and kind of wrap yourself in cotton wool to an uncomfortable extent for a period of time, which I wasn't super willing to accept at the time I heard it, but then turned out to be true. But for me, the real recovery was in realizing like a lot of the science and a lot of the thinking out there is kind of in one of two camps. It's either in the really well-being-ish kind of camp, and it's like, just practice mindfulness, like just do meditation, both of which are great. And I do both, but they're just like not attached to the realities of coming back to a senior leadership role, because it's not just those things. So then so like I kind of consider that like, inner leadership, doing stuff to kind of look after ourselves on the inside. But really, it was about getting real and stepping all the way back around when and how did I accrue this series of beliefs that has led me to work in this way, and starting to address those one by one, and actually by showing gratitude for how they had once helped me, but starting to evolve those beliefs. And then also just like structurally setting my life up differently around myself. So, all the really basic stuff, like where is my time going? Like 80-20 audits of how I used to work. Where am I doing things based on ego or like fear of having a hard conversation, or a want to be liked, which was a really big one for me, like love to be liked. And the irony is that being liked and being respected, like the pursuit of being liked over pursuing being respected, often leads to people not actually liking you that much, and certainly not respecting you, because you're not empowering them, and you're also not being totally straight with them all the time. Even though it's with a good heart and goodwill, you're actually kind of bullshitting them if you're just saying all the time, no, you're amazing, like whatever, but then you're taking their work and doing it yourself. So I had to really look in the mirror, and it was like quite a long period of unraveling these things to be able to rebuild them. But the beauty of doing that was it gave me a system that could be reused. And if I'm using it with a leader nowadays who hasn't hit that red line point and isn't having to unravel a lifetime's worth of learning, it just works so much quicker and so much easier to just like start to rebuild some thinking and get a dope system in place and get after it.
I love that. And I love how important you mentioned that belief breaking is, because your beliefs frame or lay the foundation for how you act and your behaviors. So you can do as much meditation as you want. You can do as much breath work as you want. You can do whatever you want to try and increase your productivity, increase your energy, start managing things better. But if you still have the same beliefs, you might do them, but you're still going to come back to the same actions. And I feel like negative actions always overrule positive ones, right? They always have a higher impact and just a greater level of impact, essentially. And this comes down to sleep as well, right? Like someone that's staying up every night till 3 a.m. is going to overrule any magnesium that's still left in their system that they took at 11 p.m., right?
Yes.
Just because one thing's good for you, good for your sleep, good for your energy, good for your recovery, good for your mindset. If you're doing something else that just keeps slamming that back down into the ground, you're not going to get out of that pattern. You're just going to be stuck. So a lot of the work I do as well is I have calls with people on a weekly basis, and it's just what is the root cause of them acting or doing a certain behavior that is sabotaging their sleep, essentially. Like there's something called revenge bedtime procrastination as well, where it's like people will stay up until 11, 12, 1, 2 a.m., right? And the reason they do that is because they feel that in the day they haven't had enough time to just spend with themselves or have enough like me time, right? Because they've just been working or catching up or doing X, Y, and Z. So because they feel like that, they then take that and they push it and they reduce their time to sleep because they want to get more of this time for themselves. But okay, if we look at that, what's the root cause or what's the root issue? Well, is then it's going to be around your behaviors in the day and how you're actually acting in the day. And then you're constantly in this behind loop of you're constantly just trying to work because you're never getting the highest amount of productivity because your sleep's then impaired. So it's all like this cycle. And once you find the root drive behind it, you kill it, you eliminate it, and then everything else improves.
Revenge bedtime procrastination. That's so cool. I've never heard that before, but that is like such a thing. Hey.
So it's actually really common, yeah. You, the
Wow.
people scrolling on their phone in bed at like 11 p.m. That'll be that, essentially.
See, like that's the killer, dude. Straight up. And it's like, again, it's like the video game thing. It's like at some point I'll get to the bottom of the feed. Like at some point, like it'll be over. It's like, nah, like this thing is geared
Never.
to go forever. Like this is a never ending wheel.
Yeah, it's a lot of people struggle with their phone, I believe. I'm sure you see it
Yeah.
as well, just on a day to day. But
100%. And it's like people sneak it away to the toilet, like the toilet break where actually they're just like scrolling on the phone or whatever. And it's this cheap dopamine hit that like is the same as having a coffee or getting like a cheap sugar hit or whatever, but it's not actually sustainable and it's not actually like reinvesting in your serotonin levels or in your energy levels. And it just goes into that. Like I love the Eisenhower matrix. Do you know what that is?
no,
The Eisenhower matrix, it's like a grid matrix with 4 squares,
no,
and up one side is important and not important, and up the other side is like urgent and not
no,
urgent. And if
yeah,
you kind of put all of your work stuff, but also your life stuff into which square it goes into, like, what are we going to do? Like, we're always going to address important and urgent because it's like, it's one in front of us. Like, we have to do it. We'll just fucking do it.
yeah,
The urgent and not important is the stuff that just like drains our lives, but we tend to do it because it's there. But that's the stuff to try to like delegate or get rid of. But that not urgent and not important quadrant is the one where like scrolling or like binge eating or the stuff where we just like waste our time or like bitching about work or stuff that's outside of our control. And
yeah.
whereas it's that quadrant, that beautiful, like important but not urgent quadrant, if we can focus our energy and our time there, that's when we can see the really amazing wins over time in terms of self-care practices, but also just in terms of like work outputs.
Definitely. Can you talk about how you help people to manage that appropriately and lean into that?
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, like, so once we've kind of started to tackle and unearth and bring into the light some of those beliefs, it makes it a lot easier to start thinking about things like, where should my time be spent? So, like, I love the old 80-20 audit. So it's like, where am I spending 80% of my energy to only get 20% of my results? And where
Mm,
am I spending 20% of my energy to get 80% of my results? Like, let's lean into that.
mhm,
And almost always it comes down to like, in leadership, it's like people always talk about delegation, like delegate to your staff. And that's cool and super important. But it's really rare that we talk about the structures around what makes that work well. And we also don't talk about the kind of underlying current there, which is about trust. And so thinking really carefully about for you what it is that builds or impedes trust and being able to delegate to people in your team at an appropriate level, but where you are handing them authority, like you're going, hey, like to this extent with this particular task, you go and have at it. I only need to weigh in if it gets to this level or at this point. Otherwise, go and do it, because it's the death of a thousand cuts trying to be across everything your team's doing all the time, trying to know everything and where it's at. Like your time should be centered around starting the day with, moving the dial on something which is important but not urgent, which is the broccoli time thing we were talking about earlier. Like broccoli is a bite-sized investment in our long-term health and nutrition. Broccoli time is a bite-sized investment in the long-term health and nutrition of your goals. You know what I mean? So we want to move the dial on that every single day. But the rest of your time should pretty much be focused on your people. And like, what do I need to be doing to get each one of my team members getting those gains, getting stuff out of their way, moving any kind of challenges they might be facing or obstacles out of the way to help them thrive. Because that's what's going to see me thrive in my role, not trying to exercise this like heroic leadership style, but like I'm just doing everything and it's all about me and the team sets me up for success. It's the other way around, and it's getting our heads around that mindset.
I love that. It's always people wanting to champion it themselves, I believe, because they feel like they're the most competent and the best one for the job, which may be true in some aspects, but there are other people that can do the same job at the same level as you, or even, if not even better than you, if you go out and find that person, right? It also really applies to business owners. So, the founder at the top level that's got a team, it's just about how do you like most effectively manage your staff and get the most out of them. And like you said earlier, just don't be nice to them, be kind. So being nice is if you're at dinner with someone and they've got some broccoli stuck in their teeth, you're like, you don't tell them. That's being nice. Being kind is just, you've got broccoli in your teeth, just get it out. But then that benefits them more because then they're not walking around with broccoli in their teeth for the rest of the evening, right? So how you actually communicate with people, and then I feel like the founders that are just doing them all themselves, this will apply to, because it's like it's all about focus then, right? Like what are the actual things that you need to be doing, not the flashy things that you want to be doing. We've all got caught in that trap, right? Like the amount of people, me included, that I've been stuck in Claude code for like multiple days on end at a time. And what the fuck am I actually doing? You know what I mean? It's like what do I need to be doing? Well, I need to be making sure that my service is as best as it possibly can be. That's not, again, I can use Claude Code to help with ideas, but that's going to be me servicing my clients, making sure they're in the best possible position, seeing how I can help other people in outreach and creating good content that helps people. It's like those are the things that we need to be focusing on, specifically as business owners. And we can always, and that doesn't just apply to business owners, but we can often drift on what we think that we should be doing. It's not what we should be doing. It's what you want to do for, again, the dopamine, but it nets only 20% of those results, like you said. It's always the boring stuff that we don't want to be doing that actually nets us the outcomes and gets us close to the goal that we actually want, that I find.
It's so true. And I reckon there's two things that if we can keep in mind, it helps so much. The first is like short-term thinking, especially in 2026, like the era of like AI and quick wins and cheap wins and whatever, like everything is short-term thinking. But if you just think about myself in 3 months and like the stuff that I'm planning to do today and the stuff I'm spending my time on is me in 3 months going to thank me for doing this. Because I'll tell you right now, in terms of leadership, like making those choices around like, my staff member has like done this really shit job on this like grant application. I could give them feedback and walk them through it. That's going to take heaps of time and it would be so much quicker for me to just do it myself. And so I'm just going to do it myself. And you tomorrow might go, great, like that's off my to-do list. You in 3 months is going to go, fuck, like I'm having to do it again for this person rather than just teach them and help them to do it properly the next time. And the other one, I reckon, like there was this amazing study that was done, and people have forgotten about it. It was like a decade ago by someone called Professor Teresa Amabile. And so she's a Harvard professor, and she did this amazing piece of work called The Power of Small Wins. Have you
Mm.
heard of this study?
I haven't heard of the study, but I can imagine where it goes.
Dude, it's the sickest study. So it's like this massive, massive quantitative piece of research where they got hundreds of people in like a wide variety of industries, like, heaps and heaps of different ones, and got them all to journal each day on whether it was a good day or a bad day and what made the day a good day or a bad day. And they found in 90% of cases, regardless of interference. So you might have the world's shittest boss, like you might have all the stuff going on, like your whole world's falling down. On a day where someone started a thing, like started a task, and then finished that task, and that task felt meaningful, either in the context of their work or to them personally, that there was a win and they were happy. And wins stack up over time to these like extraordinary like performance and well-being gains. So on the personal well-being side and on the actual performance side. So if you can just like retrofit your days to make sure straight out the gate, like no matter where my day goes, it can all go to shit, but I'm going to get a win straight out the gate, like you are going to kill it. You're going to kill it if you can
Yeah.
stack those up over time.
It's like Eat the Frog as well, right?
Yeah, totally. Exactly. Eat the frog.
So just getting the hard task done that you know will actually move the needle just out the way. And that also really helps with the work I do. So just stops the racing mind. Just a lot of the working late into the evening or having the racing mind is the fact that you know deep down that you haven't actually done the meaningful things that move the needle, right? So you feel bad because like, I didn't work enough today, and then the identity of like you needing to work harder comes back, and you're like, okay, fuck, like I've got to do another 2 hours at least now to make up for me not doing that earlier in the day. But if you just, this is why I'm a big fan of just like waking up and getting work done. Obviously, I sometimes advocate for people waking up early, 5-6 a.m. if they are in a position where they feel good doing so and they still get enough sleep. I feel like people get this misconstrued where it's like, oh, you're in the 5 a.m. club, you're so toxic, you're promoting like hustle culture. It's like, no, if you feel good doing it. If you don't, then don't do
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah, I feel like get up when you feel good. But either other way, if you can get up and do productive work that makes you feel good and moves what you want to do forwards, then that's going to massively help for the rest of your day to set yourself up for success and be more productive and put you more at ease. But also that later that night, you're not going to feel like you have to take away from your time to sleep or be up thinking about work because you've already done the hard stuff like way earlier.
Totally. And for me personally, like I'm a morning person. And so I would like so happily every day wake up at, I wake up at 5:20 every day, wake up then and just like work for 4 hours, and I probably do my best work. But like so often for me, the trap is it's like then stopping. You know what I mean? Like, cause it's like, you're kind of on a run. And it's like, I'm just going to keep going. So I've been forcing myself to get up and instead like, get the exercise out of the way, do those kind of things and then tuck into the work. But it's a beautiful thing, those like golden hours in the morning. And it's not about the hustle culture vibes. It's about the, go to bed at 9 o'clock or 9:30 and wake up feeling awesome at 5:20 in the morning and have this stretch of time.
That's what I mean. It's so you feel so great when you just wake up with no alarm, refreshed, and you're like, okay, oh my days, like it can be a new world for people because people just get conditioned to waking up at 40% battery, feeling groggy, needing a coffee straight away. Is not natural energy, and then you get to the afternoon, you get a crash because you've just borrowed energy essentially. But if you can just wake up energized and get into it, and I'm very much the same as you. Like, I now wake up and I just go for like a walk, even if it's just like 5-10 minutes just to start the day, because I could easily just get cracked into work. But it's about setting yourself up for success, but also if you can just get out there like with your mind only and like no phone, then you're not getting straight into quick fix dopamine, so you can actually when you get into work. The boring work feels more enjoyable when you don't have your
Yes.
phone, but also from just being in nature and a light perspective, you're setting yourself up to be more alert. If I ever feel a bit tired in the morning, I will literally just go out in the sun for 5-10 minutes and then I will not feel tired anymore. Because essentially, you're signaling to the receptors in your eye to tell your brain that it's time to wake up now. So as long as you've
Yes.
had a reasonable sleep, then you're going to feel more alert and not in a long time. Obviously, if you still feel tired, then it's probably a sign that your sleep was pretty awful. But yeah, I'm definitely the same as you, man. I think it's about structuring your days in a way that allows you to perform. And then if you're very ambitious and you can get really into work, which is me and you, it's about, okay, we can do this, but let's just do these things first. Once we fit those requirements off, then we can get straight into it and it's fair game.
And so where do you start with people, man, who are coming through and they're just like all over the shop? One night they'll sleep 3 hours, the next they'll sleep for, 12 to try to catch up. And it's that kind of seesaw sleep vibe. Like, where do you start with them?
It's really usually a specific pattern. So when I first identify someone needs help with their sleep, I get them on a call and I'm like, okay, I'm just asking them questions to find out what the actual root issue of their sleep is, because I find people will often try different things. Like they'll try loads of things at once, right? So you might have 5 things. You've got magnesium, you've got no screens before bed, you've got no meals 3 hours before bed, you've got morning walks, and you've got, I don't know, trying something like a sauna in the evening. It's like, out of those 5 things, maybe one or even none of them are actually going to help you with your specific sleep issue. But because they saw
Yes.
like Andrew Huberman's podcast, the Diary of a CEO, or Brian Johnson, right? And they're like, he's got this 6-hour sleep routine. I should just follow like 4 of the things that he does. It's like, well, no, because how do you know that's actually going to improve your root issue? Because being in a high stress state, the way you improve that is going to be different to how you improve a racing mind, is going to be different to how you improve revenge, bedtime, procrastination, is going to be different to how you improve a circadian rhythm that's just all over the place. So it's like, we first need to identify the root issue, then reverse engineer, and then build the foundations from there. When I help people with this, like in the first 4 weeks of what I do, I typically only change like 1 to 2 things. It's like, and then they're always like, oh, I didn't expect it to be, I thought it'd be more full on than this. It's like, no, you don't need that. You need to remove the things that are ruining your sleep rather than adding new things in. And I'm sure it's like the
Yes.
same. Is it the same for you in your work?
100%. Yeah. It's so rarely about like the big drastic thing. It's actually about that kind of coupled thing of like getting some small wins and some small changes, but also the big mindset shifts that come with the small changes. And that sounds like extraordinarily similar to what you're delivering.
So powerful though, right?
So powerful, so powerful. And it's like, it is a beautiful thing to realize, like, it doesn't need to be years of work. It doesn't need to be effort. It doesn't need to be this really hard thing. And in fact, when you get your sleep dialed in, or if you get your work-life kind of concept really dialed in, I mean, everything just feels awesome. It's not like you're slugging your guts out for something that isn't good. Like, you're doing it and it's like the rewards are immediate.
What are the biggest change or the biggest shifts in mindsets or results that you've seen with your clients as well?
I mean, I've seen some pretty huge ones. Like one of my clients, so an objectively extraordinarily smart and talented person who was just like super, super, super burned out and was on leave because she was burned out, and there was she had no working lights in her apartment, so it was just like dark in her apartment all the time. She was just like too exhausted to even deal with the light globes, and just when I asked her, because I ask everyone in our first conversation, what are you good at? And bear in mind, there's someone who's been like a really big time leader and has done really big, important work. All she could come up with was filing. Like, I'm pretty good at filing. And even that, she wouldn't even say she was like good at it. She's like, yeah, I'm all right at filing.
Yeah.
And to go from there to backup work, like managing a big team, doing like extraordinarily important and big kind of reform work. And most importantly, just like feeling good, but feeling aware and being able to notice when things are kind of slipping back in and to be able to immediately address that on the front foot. But like the inversion, man, it's like a totally different life this person can live now. And that just brings me so much joy. And it's like, it was like an irony that the first step was like, all right, like, let's get some lights in your apartment and we'll go from there. Like, and it's like, get some light on it, like casting some light on the situation. But it's it was a beautiful thing. But it's just, I think when people open themselves up to change and don't just go, this is who I am, like leopard spots,
Yeah.
like I can't change, and actually
Mm.
go, no, it's okay for me to let go some of these beliefs now. And that's a bit scary, but the world is going to reward me for it. And actually, it doesn't mean I'm going to diminish my career. I'm going to enhance it and make it sustainable and awesome and have a great life outside of there. Like, what a beautiful thing, man. Like, it's a lovely gift.
That's awesome, man. It's really good. And like you said, when it comes to making a change, we can be our own worst enemies sometimes when it comes to resisting that. And it makes sense, right? Like, there's always going to be a fear of change because change is doing things differently to how you've been doing it for potentially 2, 3, 4, even 5 years. And people can want change, but actually actioning it is so different. And to actually take that first step, I find as well. So before working with people, they can be you can run into resistance to where like this is just who I am. It's fine. A lot of people can minimize their current situation because nobody wants to feel pain. It's like, oh yeah,
Yes.
I need 3 coffees, but it's normal. Or yeah, like me snapping at my family like, twice a week is fine. Like it's only twice a week. It's like people don't realize like how negative this really is. And it's like, but you tell yourself it is to minimize it to make yourself feel better. Now it's like, okay, you can either continue with that reality for the next 5, 10 years and your wife hate you, or you can
Totally.
actually just be open, like just be open to making a change, and it's really not that difficult. It's just taking the first step to get help, and as soon as you do that, as long as you've got advice or guidance from someone that actually understands your situation and knows how to deal with it, you're gonna be such a different person. And I feel like that's the really big area where our work crosses over is very similar. It's the fact that where people go from now to where they will be from a small change or step to start with, it's just huge, man. Like it really makes a difference to your work life, your productivity, but also just how you feel day to day. 'Cause it can be really draining to always feel like you've got this pressure, or you feel just like tired,
Yes.
or you feel on edge all the time. It's such a draining feeling. So just to get rid of that to start with will open up so many doors and so much opportunity for people. It's unreal.
100%. And it's like the butterfly effect of addressing some of these things as well, because like life is so finite, man. Like life is precious. We've got this like precious, whatever it is, like 4,000 weeks, give or take, on this planet. Like we don't want to waste them. And when we address some of these things, it's like, oh, holy shit, like, it's just sleep. Suddenly your sleep gets sorted and your relationship with the people that you care about in your life improves and you get this whole richness and you're performing better and more opportunities present themselves. And maybe that equates to wealth or, really achieving this sense of purpose or finishing the things that you've always been putting off. Like the effects can be extraordinary and compound in such an amazing way.
I love that you said that, because what I find is a lot of helping people see this is, okay, it's not just sleep, it's not just burnout, it's the positive effects that you're actually going to see day to day from improving that, right? You're going to wake up with energy. You're no longer going to feel irritable. You're no longer snap at people and feel bad for it. You know, it's not the thing that happens in the night, or it's not the thing that you think it is. It's the downstream effects of what you see day to day, not the actual
Yes.
thing that you're fixing. The thing that you're like, isn't it for me, right? I always say to people, you don't give a fuck about sleep. Let's be real. You just don't. You just don't care. You care about your performance. You care about how you're operating on a day-to-day level, right?
Yes.
And that can work in other ways. It's not about your sleep. It's about how you actually feel and how you are towards others, right? Because it's really hard to pour from an empty cup, or it's really hard to stop feeling irritable or control how you react to things if you're operating on a 40% battery. But if we say, who wants to improve their sleep or who wants to prevent burnout? Nobody cares. They just care about, okay, can I have more energy? Can I feel better day to day? And can I be a better, more effective leader or person as a result?
100%. It's so true. And the beautiful thing is that when they put the work in, that's exactly what occurs. And how cool is that?
100%, man. It's been a fantastic episode. We'll wrap it up there. Do you have any last words that you'd like to say?
Oh man, it's just been so beautiful to connect and chat. And everyone, go get some fucking sleep, for God's sakes.
That's the best ending that you can give anyone. Nick, it's been a pleasure. Where can people find you after this episode?
So you can find me. I'm on Instagram at the Big Refresh, on LinkedIn at the Big Refresh, or you can just look up the Big Refresh and find my website online.
Nice and easy, big freak refresh all around.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
That's what we
Cheers,
want.
man.
Cheers, brother. Peace.